Hi kiddos, this is Saba. Hey, you know where I'm at? Can you hear the water? I'm like at the streams of Banyas, it's called, waterfalls. Let me show you a picture. Whoops. There you go. Look how pretty that is. Can you see the water? Can you hear it? And there's Saba. Look down there. Can you see down there where it's all going? Whoops. Not a good shot, Saba. You need to get Uncle Trevor over here. Anyhow, I wanted to take the opportunity to tell you another story. So it's story time. Okay, and what I want to tell you today, one of my favorite stories in all the Bible. So are you ready? Finley? Colton? Are you ready, Jules? Are you guys ready? Hayden and Jackson? Okay, here goes. There once was this is in the Bible, so we know it's true. A long time ago, there was a king from Babylon, and his name was Nebuchadnezzar. And this king wanted everybody in his kingdom to bow down to worship him. But you know what? There were three guys, and their names, let's see if you can remember. If you have your daddies and mommies with you, tell them who they are. The first one's name was Shadrach. The next one's name was Meshach. And the last one's name was I always say to bed we go, because this is like a good nighttime story. But his name was Abednego. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And they decided together, there's one thing that they would never do. They would never bow down to worship another king, because their only king was God. And so despite what everybody said, and by the way, what they said is that if you don't bow down when you hear the music, you're going to be thrown into a fiery furnace. So guess what happened? Here comes the music, and everybody around started to fall down on their faces and to bow down, except for three boys: Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The music sounded, they stopped right in front of those three boys, and all of a sudden the music stopped or whatever, and they said, "Bow down before the king." But Shadrach, Meshach said, and Abednego said, "No can do. We will never bow down." And so they yelled for the guards, and the guards took them, and they took them up, and they looked down, and there was this big, big, fiery furnace. And the king, he actually liked Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and he said, "I'll give you one last chance. If you bow down right now, I won't throw you in a fiery furnace." But you know what they said? "No can do, king. We will never bow down to any other king but our God." And so the king said, "Have it your way." And they picked them up and they threw them into the fiery furnace. Now what the king expected to happen is to hear them yelling, "Ow, ooh, ow, ow." But he didn't hear that at all. In fact, it was quiet. And the king climbed up and looked down in, and he counted 1, 2, 3, 4. And the king said, "I thought I threw 3 in. Shadrach, Meshach, but who's the fourth man in the fire?" And it looks like it's the Son of God. Do you know who was in that fiery furnace with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Jesus. And Jesus knew that these guys would never bow to anybody else, so he said to the Father, "I'm going to go catch them. When they throw them in, I'm going to go protect them." And the king looked in, and he said, "Is that you, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego?" And they said, "Yep." And he goes, "Who's the fourth man in the fire with you?" "It's our God." And then the king says, "Now I know that your God is the true God." And so he came out, and they didn't even smell like smoke at all. And so the king said, "From now on, I'm going to worship your God too." So there's always a lesson when it comes to the Bible, no matter what. Never bow down or worship any other God. Who's your God? who loves you, who died for you, who gave his life for you, who's the king. His name is, let me hear you say it. I'm all the way over here in Israel. I want you to yell it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Jesus. That's right. It's all about Jesus. And so here I am in Israel, and there's a nice river flowing behind me, and I can't wait for one day you're all going to be in Israel with your Saba too. So I love you. Nana and Saba pray for you all the time. God bless you. And I wonder where Saba's going to show up next. Bye.